enough. The one aspect of The Adventure Begins I have the biggest issue with is Henry himself. It's not Henry's character I'm put off by, it's his physical appearance. Why is he not in his old shape?
Well, Tug, I think I know why. Hello, Thomas fans, and welcome once again. The first thing I want to say is you may have noticed that my voice sounds different on this occasion. This is because my microphone has temporarily stopped working, so I'm restricted to just making a video of me saying the lines. I will see if I can fix the microphone or get a new one, but for now, this is how my videos are going to sound. And now that that's out of the way, today I will be doing something a little bit different. A theory video. Now, of course, if you've been watching my videos for a long time, you might have seen my other Henry the Green Engine theory video. Now, let me assure you, this video is not me doing the same again with better microphone quality. No. This is an idea I had about Henry based off of The Adventure Begins. As you all probably know, The Adventure Begins is the movie that talked about Thomas's arrival on Sodor and effectively kicked off the show. The animators ensured that the engines were all matching the designs they would have had at that time, such as Thomas in the green E2 livery and James in his black livery. However, Henry is not in his old shape. For several of the earlier episodes, including some that were in The Adventure Begins, Henry had a largely different design. As you can see in this photo, Henry has a curved area around the boiler, nearest the cab, and also the splashers are not there. In the episode The Flying Kipper, Henry had a big accident and went to crew to have a new shape. In this newer version of Henry, the shape of the area nearest the cab has clearly changed, and the splashers are now there. Now, many people have wondered why Henry is in his new shape in the film, but I have come up with an idea for an answer to that question, and it explains a lot more than I first thought. I don't have a lot of proof to back this idea, but to me, it does make the most sense. You might have already thought this yourself, or maybe this will blow your mind, I don't know. But I think Andrew Brenner and Mattel are trying to tell us that the Flying Kipper takes place before The Adventure Begins. Now hear me out, don't dislike this video straight away. The first thing I want to say is, just because the books and stories were written in a certain order, doesn't mean they always have to stay in that order. For example, the sad story of Henry takes place after Edward and Gordon, right? However, in the movie, the sad story of Henry is shown as a flashback sequence, whereas Edward and Gordon seems to take place the day before Thomas arrives. So it seems that Henry's story in the tunnel does take place before Gordon got stuck on the hill. There is nothing that says these two stories have to be related to each other, because Edward and Gordon were not written into Henry's story, and vice versa. So Mattel do have the right to create their own order, and I think they have done the same with the Flying Kipper. Now, let's just go back to 1919. Yes, I'm using another fan theory to back this fan theory. An unknown engineer stole engine plans from Sir Nigel Grizzly and built the locomotive that was Henry. What the engineer didn't know was Henry was an experimental engine, until he was finished. Henry had dozens of problems in his early years, including having a smaller firebox. The Fat Controller bought Henry, but didn't know how to fix him until he gave Henry Welsh coal. This did make him feel better until the night that he took the Flying Kipper for the first time, and of course, had his big crash. The reason I think this takes place before Thomas arrives is because I don't think the Fat Controller would have waited years to fix Henry, and I'm sure at the time of the movie, Henry would have been on Sodor for quite a few years. Now, Thomas was not written into the Flying Kipper or many of the other stories before that. Of course, Henry and Thomas did share screen time in Thomas and the Guard and Cole, but these scenes do not add much to the story, so the episode wouldn't really need them. But back to The Adventure Begins. At the start, we are briefly introduced to Edward and Gordon. And Gordon is pulling trucks. And have you ever wondered why? I mean, surely Henry, who pulls trucks, would be on the railway at this point, but he is nowhere to be seen at first. I have two possible explanations for this. Either Henry is still at crew, and Gordon has to take the truck, which are actually very important. Or Henry is taking the express instead, and Gordon has to take his trucks. Remember, Henry's driver said that if they pulled the Kipper nicely, which he did before his crash, the Fat Controller will let Henry pull the Express. Makes sense, right? But hang on, I have more. Remember the fact that during the adventure begins, Henry is afraid of the rain until Thomas helps him conquer his fear. But it makes me wonder, what exactly made him afraid of the rain and afraid of everything in general in the first place? Answer, his crash in the snow. My theory is that after this crash, Henry was given a condition called post-traumatic stress disorder, and has felt a great amount of physical and mental distress that he still seemingly has today. Another piece of evidence is when Thomas asks Henry why he is afraid of the rain, Henry says,
Oh, I don't worry all the time, Thomas. I hardly worry at all when it's sunny.
when it's sunny, not when it's not raining. If Henry had said, I hardly worry when it's not raining, that would mean he wouldn't mind if it was windy or even snowing, but he didn't. This explains everything. Henry is afraid of the rain as well as a lot of other stuff, such as chickenpox, because he is still feeling distressed after his accident, which took place before the adventure begins. This is why Henry is in his U shape throughout the film. Gordon has to take the trucks during Edward and Gordon because Henry is taking the express instead as a reward. Henry isn't afraid when it's sunny because he knows he is safe. This is not for definite, it is just an idea of mine. But if this is the case, and Henry does have a post-traumatic stress disorder, then this would continue the idea that the creators are bringing up the subject of illnesses, such as autism. Now, what do you think? Do you agree with me, or is there something to prove me wrong? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.